Hello and welcome back to the Power of Manifestation. My name is Andrea Miller and I am so excited to be talking to one of my favorite people, Niraj Naik. This session is called Ignite True Love, Awaken Lasting Bliss. The cheat codes are inside of you. Oh my gosh, you guys, this talk will explore how the most powerful forces for finding and cultivating true love and experiencing genuine bliss are genuinely coded inside of you through your breath, intention, clarity, energy, and even your sexuality. But before I introduce Niraj, I just wanted to throw out a quick reminder to grab your Power of Manifestation journal. You're going to want to take a ton of notes, and we've also loaded it up with great insights and takeaways from the session so you can really listen and not be worried too much about remembering it all. If you don't have it, you can get it real quick at powerofmanifestation.com. And with that, I am excited to introduce Niraj Naik, a professional musician and pharmacist turned holistic health and breathwork expert. He started his path in healing others as a community pharmacist, yet after several years, he found himself as a patient with stress-related depression and ulcerative colitis. This was a wake-up call that made him embark on a journey of profound self-healing and education. Guys, his story is incredible, honestly. Niraj created a global community of heart-centered change makers by founding Soma Breath, the global breathwork and wellness movement with over 3,500 certified instructors and hundreds of thousands of students around the globe who are trained to facilitate what's now been regarded as the most powerful and popular transformational experience of its kind. This is not theory, right? This is not theory. And when you hear more about Niraj's experiences and my own using Soma Breath, you'll be like, whoa, I got to do this. Okay. So known internationally as the Renegade Pharmacist, Niraj is dedicated to educating others on topics of holistic health, breathwork, meditation, and more. Niraj's breathwork is advocated very passionately by some of the top names in wellness, such as Andrew Huberman, Ben Greenfield, Marissa Peer, Vishen Lakhiani, and Dave Asprey. And his Soma Breath Awakening Protocol, this is big, is the only breathwork modality with peer-reviewed research by Cambridge University with its largest to-date breathwork study. Like I said, it is not theory, it is real, it is impactful, and it works. Whew, almost done here. Niraj produced the music and audio tracks for the Wim Hof Method courses and app with millions of users worldwide and co-created the world's, this is cool, first Mind Oasis immersive multisensory meditation technology with Rituals, one of the largest cosmetic brand in the world. And it is honestly revolutionizing the way we chill out and so much more. And Niraj manifested the love of his life. He has such a gorgeous family. He is going to tell us all about it. And guys, no matter where you are in your love life, this session can help you find and or cultivate deep, lasting love. And I'm pretty sure better sex. Niraj, I'm counting on getting into this. We are also going to help you genuinely tap into lasting bliss. And I want to say, Niraj, I think you know this, but I want to say to everybody, after interviewing Niraj a handful of weeks ago, and all the research that I did, I was so impressed with Soma that I personally paid for and did his 21-day Soma breathwork journey. It was so compelling. It was so useful to me, and it made me want to become a Soma instructor. So I'm in the process of signing up to be a Soma instructor. So I know I've said it 3 times already. It is not theory. This is so compelling. It works, but you've got to do it. I feel like I've been talking for 10 minutes. Welcome, Niraj.
Great to be here. Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction.
Yeah. Sorry?
You could do the interview for me.
Yeah, I really could. I've stalked you a ton. I've done so much research on you. And like I said, just because I was so impressed, the last thing I need is to be getting an instructor training in anything. But I've just been like, I want to internalize this for myself. And I want to be a source for other people because it works, from the genuine health benefits and improving our immune systems to tapping into bliss, experiencing the Soma. I saw the white lights, Niraj, again and again, feeling that sense of bliss. Like, there is so much to unlock with breath work. And so let's start there. So we've been talking about the inner cheat codes that are inside of us all. What does that mean when it comes to love and bliss?
Amazing. Yeah. Well, in my old age, I'm 47 now. I think I've learned a little bit about what true love really means. So you want to hear it? What my definition is of true love? Because I think I discovered it in the way most people assume love to be, as in, you know, your life partner, amazing family, beautiful daughter, that's the kind of love that you can't even compare to anything else when you have that bond with something you created, the human being. It's like there's no other kind of feeling that matches that one, actually, to be honest. But what love really means to me is actually an acronym. So it's LOVE, which stands for level of vibrational energy, right? So everyone's seeking a form of a feeling, right, on a scale of emotion. So level of vibrational energy is, imagine it's your vibe scale, right? And there's all these different emotions on the scale that we'll, as human beings, experience, and we should experience them all to have the most richest quality of life. You can't really understand these more positive, blissful emotions if you haven't experienced some of the dark ones, right? So that's just life. That's how it is. And your ability to deal with that reality, the fact that, you know, life is about suffering as well, but also pleasure and a bit of pain, light and dark. Your ability to ride that wave, that roller coaster ride that life is the secret to really, I would say, having the best experience of life, right? So the thing is, some people, they get stuck in these low vibrations, which are the emotions like anger, fear, jealousy, hatred, envy. And people get so attached to these feelings because they just cannot get over things that have happened in the past. You know, the things that have happened in the past don't have to be the future. They don't have to play out your existence in the future. And, you know, a lot of people like can't forgive someone. So they don't let that person into their life, and they stop letting other people like that into their life. When actually maybe if they let go of that pain from the past, just by forgiveness, and sometimes it's yourself you need to forgive the most, then you can break free and you can start to enjoy life again, right? There's a lot of people who stop doing things because of things that have happened in the past that set them back and gave them pain. So to avoid that pain, they go and, you know, find happiness in other forms. And sometimes that may involve using substances to get into these higher vibe states, right? Which is okay. We're nothing against that, right? But just know that especially chemical substances, which people get very much hooked on, right, have a crash. So they may bring you up for a bit, but then they can bring you down, right? So a lot of people are on things like prescription medications, antidepressants. In fact, 1 in 5 people are a form of antidepressant. That's merely trying to lift someone's spirits, their mood, into these higher vibe states, right? So they can deal with life a bit better. But what I found was there was another way to do it. So I prefer to use natural highs. Okay, so natural highs are things that we can do that don't require ingesting chemicals. So there are, things like sauna practices, ice baths, the contrast therapy, which I love. There are certain supplements you can take with that, like vitamin B3, that instantly gets you in a very high vibe state. You feel amazing, right? And then if you bring in my absolute love, my secret, which is the breath-based lifestyle we teach in Soma Breath, with our practices that can also work with these things like sauna, rituals, cold plunges, and all that, because we have techniques for that as well. You can actually create a way of life that makes you naturally high from within. And what that means is also just through the kind of this philosophical advice we get in Soma Breath, understanding how the mind works, understanding how life is like a roller coaster ride, and there's no, light and dark really. It's just a scale of vibration, and really the light and dark coexist together, and they have to. And therefore, anything that's happened in the past that's negative, if you join the dots, you'll usually find that negative thing can lead to something positive. Positive things sometimes lead to negative, but negative things are just challenges to help you lead to something a bit more positive and to grow and to experience even more different types of higher vibes and emotions, right? So my life's been a complete journey, a roller coaster ride of a lot of ups and downs, until I adopted this more breath-based lifestyle, where I was able to control my state, right? Like if I'm feeling low, I can learn from what that lesson is that it's trying to teach me, and I can quickly turn that around and get it back into my flow. And then I can actually get more stuff done during the day, right? Because for people to actually get stuff done, you need to feel good. Like most people, when they try to manifest things, right, which requires taking actions, they don't manifest anything because they're trying to do it from a place of fear or anger or hatred. If you do that, like attracts like in this manifesting game, you produce energy that goes out in all directions. We're a frequency generator. So if you try and manifest things, like take action, even like do things from a place of anger, hatred, jealousy, fear, you tend to get more of that back.
Right. So let me just jump back back to this idea of the cheat codes using your life, just to kind of summarize this. So you had a really glamorous, exciting lifestyle as somebody who was a DJ, who had clubs in Great Britain. It was just London, I think, even just just rock star, like genuine rock star lifestyle. And for a whole host of reasons, that fell apart. You went into a deep depression. You experienced this.
Well, that's where I go with the bad habits, right? Because that scene comes with a lot of drugs, alcohol, late nights, partying.
Well, that's looking for from the outside in. And just to give a little spoiler alert, what you figured out is how to experience bliss and love from the inside out. So you went through this depression. You went through a major health crisis. They wanted to remove your colon as like a 20-something-year-old. Like, what the frick? Or maybe early 30s. Yeah, as a young man. And so all of these things were screaming to your body, to your heart, to your mind. I mean, you went through this dark night of the soul. And rather than saying, all right, just take out my colon and I'll accept being on medication for my entire life, right? And you call yourself the renegade pharmacist, which everybody, it's kind of funny. Here's a guy that went from, if you will, dealing legal drugs and saying, hey, I don't want to do that. I'm trying, and just to share a little bit more from our previous conversation, you were advocating for people to change their diet, to change their lifestyle, even as a pharmacist, rather than continuing to rely entirely on pharmaceuticals, because we know the side effects of pharmaceuticals are often very, very bad. By the way, they can save lives. They can do amazing things. Neither of us are saying, it's terrible. We know there are a lot of good things, but the idea of these cheat codes are inside of us. Mother Nature has given us things like breath work and like you say, heat therapy and so forth, to enable us to really heal from the inside out, rather than relying on these pharmaceuticals that, by the way, they typically don't heal us. They just treat the symptom, right? So you went to the literal end of the earth, into the Himalayas. Same thing with substances, drugs, alcohol. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Why are people consuming all these things? They're trying to change their state. They're trying to feel a certain way, but they aren't really solving the problem of why you're feeling low in the first place. Well, so you get a temporary high, and then you have a crash. And I've talked freely about how I come from a family of addiction, and and drank plenty growing up. I don't drink it. I don't drink it all anymore, really. Maybe a cocktail here or two, but that's it. And the research even on alcohol is that it's so much worse than I even realized. And I think most of us realize in terms of the long-term impact on our brain health, on our livers, on our bodies. And yet so many people turn to things like drug and alcohol, to your point. It's to change our state, to feel less alone, to feel less inhibited, to feel less afraid, and so forth. And so in your remarkable journey, go to the Himalayas, aligning with gurus, tapping into Ayurveda, to ancient knowledge, partnering up with Wim Hof, and you developed Soma, which then Cambridge University decided, Soma Breath, Cambridge decided to formally study the benefits of. Just take a minute and talk about those outcomes. Again, I just want to frame this for everybody, and then we'll keep going. But I do think when you talk about, and I know I'm kind of giving the answer here a little bit, but things like the using your methodology is as effective for a large swath of the population as therapeutically prescribed psilocybin, right? The implications on depression and the positive outcomes on depression and PTSD and so forth through breath work, music, and movement specifically is compelling. And so when I think about this idea that the cheat codes are inside of us, Soma Breath in particular enables us to lock in and tap into those cheat codes. So just talk for a minute or two, if you don't mind, about Soma itself and the music and the breath work. And maybe we can even pop into an exercise or two, just so people can start to experience what it feels like.
Yeah, so like just talking about the drugs and substances and psilocybin and all that, I actually don't have anything against them. And I actually think they're all good. I mean, a glass of wine can be beneficial. Even cocaine can be used medicinally for benefits, right? So what my point is that like people allow the drug to control them. Soma Breath is all about giving you control over things you thought you had no control over, your whole autonomic nervous system, right? And with the breath, we have a pharmacy at our fingertips, which means you can use substances and drugs and stuff like that and be in control of them rather than control you, because your desire changes. You instead of like needing to reach for something to get high, right? You can get it through a breathing technique, okay? And when you start doing the practice we teach in Soma Breath, and there's one particular one which creates a physiological state called intermittent hypoxia, which has numerous health benefits. You release like a cocktail of neurotransmitters it's actually, the acronym is you release A dose. A dose stands for anandamide, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins. And if you can like be in control of your own neurotransmitters and chemicals rather than needing outside things to do that, you can have a lifestyle where you don't get triggered as easily. You aren't as reactive. You don't take things as personally. A lot of people take things a lot personally. And these are the things that stop people from being able to manifest what they want. You know, it's when you get hung up on the past too much. And with Soma Breath, you can actually change the perception of the past in a similar way that things like psilocybin works. Psilocybin, the way it works, and it's still considered the best treatment for depression, severe depression, MDMA and psilocybin. But what the Cambridge study showed was that our protocol has the same effects on the brain as a dose used in psilocybin with the same kind of outcomes. So it could be like an alternative. So you can use psilocybin, no problem with that. It's very powerful. And it's actually a really good thing. I use it sometimes, right? It's a great microdosing. It's amazing. But you can either combine it with Soma Breath and it'll be even more potent transformation, or you can just use Soma Breath on its own, right? So it's a choice, okay? And it's really good that now there's a lot more awareness of the science of breath work and these practices that come from ancient India. And I've just systematized it, made it into a pharmacy of techniques and a way of life. And we have like recreational drug alternatives. So if you want to go and have your MDMA-like experience in a club, we have a breath rave experience where we show you how to use breathing techniques to get really high while you're pieing and dancing. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't do MDMA ever again. You can go and do the two together. You'll have an even better experience. But then there's also the other side. So we have like things for blood pressure, for improving your mitochondrial health. Mitochondrial dysfunction is basically like related to almost every disease of old age. And we want people to live longer with quality of life. So you need to look after mitochondria. But just doing our breathing practice every day, within a couple of weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, you'll multiply the number of healthy mitochondria you have in every cell. Plus, you can change your neurology of the brain in alignment with your intention. Because what I've created is like a therapy in a way, because it allows you, using creative visualization techniques and this breath structural breathing techniques that creates intermittent hypoxia and stem cells, you can actually create what I call self-directed neurogenesis, where you can reprogram the brain at cellular level according to your intention. This is much more powerful than just normal hypnotherapy, right? You know, hypnotherapy is very powerful, regression. You can really heal people with that. But that doesn't go to a cellular level. With breathwork, we're going to this breathing technique. Let's not call it breathwork. It's Soma, because it's not really traditional breathwork that you see out there. It's its own modality, because the way we combine the creative visualization with the music that drives the process, which has its own benefits, and the sequence of pranayama techniques to create a state, it's its own modality. Nothing exists like this. And it allows you to really heal the past. And here's the thing, right? So there's a scientist called Dr. Shaya Frati. He's an amazing scientist in Israel. They have the best science on intermittent hypoxic training. So what I'm talking about, they do it with machines. They don't use the therapy side of it, the creative visualization. They just use a protocol that creates a dose of intermittent hypoxia, right?
And by the way, intermittent hypoxia is, just define that for everybody real quick.
Normal oxygen for a brief period. Yeah. So you do that in a sequence, in a special protocol, and you deliver this dose of intermittent hypoxia in a progression over a period of weeks, right? What they found, though, Dr. Shaya Frati, because they do it with machines, was that trauma, emotional trauma, actually leaves a physical wound in the brain, which is wild, right? So this is why people. So
if you were to look at if you were to put like, if somebody who's gone through childhood trauma, put them into an MRI versus somebody who didn't, they would actually see a different brain pattern. With the one with trauma would actually show physical wounds, is what you're saying, or physical abnormalities. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. You can see trauma as a wound in the brain, right? But what they found was that with this protocol, because it wakes up stem cells, you can actually heal that trauma. Now, this trauma wound is why people get stuck, and they do years of therapy and they can't get out of it. Because with the mind, you can't control the mind. It's very hard to change the mind through just the mind. You have to do it through the body.
Exactly.
And that's what we do, Soma Breath. Body, Soma, body.
Let me just repeat that, because that's something that I probably heard a handful of months ago that was like, wow, like you can't heal mind with mind. To me was, okay, now I get it. Niraj, what would be right now for us to give people a taste for what they can do to start to improve their health and start tapping into the power inside of them? Is there a breathwork exercise you can walk me through?
Welcome to Soma Breath intermittent hypoxic training sequence, where you're going to be breathing in a 2 in, 4 out rhythm with a breath retention phase. Breathing in through your nose, out through your mouth. That's right. So now sit comfortably with an upright posture, relaxed. When you hear me say in, breathe in. And when you hear me say out, breathe out. The smooth and consistent rhythm to the rhythm and groove of the music. That's right. Let's begin. 3, 2, 1. Exhale and in. Breathing in, breathing out. The smooth, consistent inhale and exhale. Breathing in through your diaphragm, then into your chest, and letting go on every exhale. This rhythm should be effortless, relaxed, with no force. Deepen your breath slightly, taking longer, deeper breaths, but staying in that rhythm. Deepen your breath even more. Begin to breathe deep, full breaths in that same consistent rhythm. Just 3 breaths left before the breath retention phase. 2 breaths left. 1 last breath. Now take a deep breath in and breathe all the air out, holding your breath after a full exhalation. Relaxing the shoulders, your chest. Let your chin drop towards your chest and relax every muscle in your body. That's right. You have 60 seconds remaining on this breath hold. If you need to take a breath at any time, take a little sip in through your nose and breathe out and hold your breath. And you can repeat this as many times as you need to until you get the command to inhale. That's right. Stay calm, stay relaxed. You are perfectly safe. Allow your muscles of your body to be relaxed and at ease. Let your shoulders drop, soften your jaw, your face, becoming very relaxed. You have 20 seconds remaining. You're doing great. See if you can hold your breath slightly beyond the comfort zone, going beyond what you thought was possible. Overriding the fear of holding your breath rubs off on other areas of your life where you may be having fear that holds you back. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now take a deep breath all the way in and hold your breath after full inhalation. Pulling up the muscles around your pelvic floor, your sphincter up, contracting up. You send this energy up like a spiral of light into your midbrain, illuminating you to the light of this blissful awakening. And focus now on maintaining this state of stillness by holding your breath for as long as you comfortably can. Now you have 15 seconds remaining of this breath retention phase. Relax muscles in your chest, your diaphragm, your face. Just stay calm and at ease and enjoy that stillness. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now let go with a hum. Now, coming back to normal breathing, observing how you feel, noticing any changes. Congratulations, you have now just learnt and experienced how to do Soma Breath intermittent hypoxic training. So if this felt really good, then imagine doing a whole 20 to 60 minute full deep dive session. You can find a variety of these on the Soma Breath app, inside our courses like the 21-day Awakening Journey, and in our instructors' classes.
I'm home again. I mean, you do feel it.
And that was just 6 minutes. So that's a very short session, but if you do it for a bit longer and do a few more rounds of that breath technique, it's very powerful, very transformative. And that's just one dose of intermittent hypoxia.
Okay, let's turn toward your incredible love story. How did you manifest the love of your life?
So that is because of, again, it all comes down to the vibe that I'm talking about and level of vibrational energy. So
love, level of vibrational energy.
Yeah. So as a pharmacist, when I was really depressed, I didn't manifest the people into my life that were aligned with who I truly am. And I had to really go into pain to figure out who I really am. And your real vibe is down based on that. So a lot of people are feeling anxious, stressed, worried, fear because they don't really understand who they truly are. So you end up manifesting what you don't really want, because we're all amazing at manifesting. Everyone is a brilliant manifester. We usually just manifest what we don't want, right? So I had to go through a big journey of like a lot of I had mostly long-term relationships, but I had to go through a few of them if I really figured out who I really was, and did a lot of inner work to heal a lot of the past problems I've had in my life, right? And a lot of the forgiveness comes from this, like relationships with your mum, your parents. All of this plays out on the type of people you call into your life, right? I kept manifesting people who are like mother figures, replacing my mum, okay? Which is a really bad thing because I was still a child. I was a child, just the way I acted wasn't
like a man-child. And by the way, I appreciate your candor because I think we've all experienced that to some degree in our own lives, and just to have that self-awareness, to be able to own that, to me says a lot.
Yeah, of course. And we don't want to be children it's all good to be childlike sometimes.
Yeah, joyful and playful.
Be a real man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, real man, real woman. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, really. So I basically manifested the ultimate tick every box woman, right? She's the most incredible woman ever, Natasha. She's just so perfectly aligned with who I am now. Back then, she wouldn't even looked at me, right? Who I was back when I was running raves or even a pharmacist. She wouldn't have given me any attention at all. But in order to get someone like her, I had to really understand who I am and grow up and become a man with direction and purpose. Real women, the really top quality, the best women in the world, I think, they like to find men who have got a sense of direction and they have a natural lead, right? And they love to support the mission, okay? They're like men on a mission. And that mission could be just having a family, raising an amazing family. Right? It doesn't have to be a big lofty goal like I have. So, but often like the really good women get put off by the children. They may manifest them, but because they end up becoming like mothers to them, and that's not attractive.
Well, and I think it's vice versa, Niraj. I mean, I think, there are plenty of women children out there, right? And I've I'm going to take your lead and be a little courageous here and say that was me at times. And I think it takes a lot of self-awareness to begin, to say, I'm going to insist on my own emotional maturity. I'm going to insist on my own healing, because that is going to change how I show up. That is going to give me the level of vibrational energy, that love, that actually enables me to be in a relationship like the one you described, that's extremely fulfilling, filled with integrity, filled with joy and bliss, versus what so many people experience is much more dysfunctional relationships, right? I mean, that's what is so common. So how did you meet Natasha? How old were you? Like, just walk us through a couple of those details. Were you looking for love at that time? Like, just give us all those details, because guess what, everybody? Whether you're in a relationship right now and it's not where you want it to be, you can have the kind of love that Niraj has called into and cultivated in his life. Or if you're single and looking, it is here for you. That is the cheat code inside. That, I love this. I'm going to use this all the time. Your love is your level of vibrational energy. If it's good and on and honest and awesome, that's what you create. And if it's a little lower, then that's what it creates. I mean, the good news is it's inside of you. Okay, so walk us back to where you were, how you said you did a lot of your own healing, but just put us in the time and place of how this all started coming down together.
Yeah, so the bottom line is, like, I used to be a person who said I hate my life way more than I said I love my life. And now I even wear a t-shirt, I love my life, and wear a song about it. I need to
get one of those t-shirts. I love it.
Because I was so in love with my life, what I'd created, myself. And this is the most important thing. You have to be absolutely honest about this. Are you in love with life, yourself? Do you have gratitude for who you are and the life you've been given? If you don't have that with conviction, then that's when you really need to do the work to grow up, to figure out what that is. Okay? Then you can meet someone like Natasha. Because the way I met her was at this incredible community called Mind Valley, and they run these big events. So one of the events is called Mind Valley University. So the first
and by the way, how long ago was this?
This was like 8 or 9 years ago now.
Okay, so because you just said you're 47, so you talked about being at the low of the lows in your early 30s, ulcerative colitis.
But, we met 10 years ago. Sorry, 10 years ago.
10 years. Oh, okay.
It was 10 years ago now.
Okay, so you were on a healing journey for a handful of years, but I love I just really want to underscore this. I do think it is so critically important that you wear a t-shirt that says, I love my life. And you are so, like, you radiate that love and joy and bliss. Like, I can't underscore that enough, everybody, that is there for all of us, right? And I experience that. I don't think I experienced it quite as much as Niraj, but I'm there a lot of the time. But that, like you were saying, that level of gratitude, that level of being in love with your life, feeling love and respect toward yourself, like, that is the level of vibration that you're talking about. So, okay. So now you're at a Mind Valley event 10 years ago.
Yeah. But you have to earn it. Like, people aren't willing to do the work.
You can't fake it. You can't fake it. No,
you can't fake it.
You can't. Like, you can genuinely feel it. But I feel like everything you're saying is because of the work that you had done earlier on, you cultivated that. That's the cheat code inside of you. And that's, of course, then what you built, this gigantic business and all the things that you're doing to share that with everybody else. But to me, that is the critical message here is it must be cultivated from within. It can't be faked.
Yeah, exactly. So, I was, at a time where I had got to a point actually where I didn't even need a relationship. I was super happy being single as well, because I was just so in love with life and the freedom and all that. But then I went to this Mind Valley event in Barcelona, and that's when I realized that there's just an incredible amount of epic people as well who are all in love with life the same way. So just through that and being in the right environment, I then on one of the final parties met Natasha. Within 5 minutes, we just locked eyes. We're all over each other. And, so jokes aside, so I actually was quite blown away by Vishen's company culture.
And Vishen Vishen Lakhiani is the founder and CEO of Mind Valley. Yep.
Yeah. And he has these images of all of his team. And he has some of the most attractive company that I've ever seen. Like, it's ridiculous. It's a funny thing, people talk about that Vishen's are surrounded by really smart, beautiful women, which is true. And his company is run by them, right? So really, really next level. So I was like, I'd love to manifest a Mind Valley, somebody worse than Mind Valley, right? But then when I went to KL, Kuala Lumpur, I was like, actually, I don't want to, because then I'd end up having to live in this city. So I was like, no, it has to be ex Mind Valley, like somebody you used to wear that. And you won't believe it. So Natasha, when I met her, she was just leaving. She just finished. She'd worked there for 3 years, right? And the crazy thing is that like, so I got very inspired by the way they create their sales pages and websites, and all that. They're very, very slick and very well done, and they sell good stuff, right? So when I was trying to get my course out to the world, I was like, let's model Mind Valley, and I was basically like modeling my copy. What I wrote on the pages, on copy that Natasha wrote.
Oh wow! Okay, some good synchronicity there,
which is insane. So anyway, but I didn't know that, and then we met in Barcelona. Within 5 minutes, we were all over each other, and then we moved in together in Barcelona, and the rest is history. And one trippy thing about the whole thing is that a close friend of mine. She was a mutual friend of mine and Natasha called Mariana. She had just done one of my very close friends, Marissa Peer. You see, in order to have a friend like Marissa Peer and her husband, John Davey, as my friends and mentors, I had to have done so much work, because when I was at pharmacy level, I would never have manifested people like that as personal friends, right? So I'd done a lot of work to get to a point where I could, have someone like Marissa in my life. And the funny thing is, Mariana wanted to practice on her hypnotherapy method. RTT it's called. So she asked for a couple of volunteers. And it turned out the 2 people that volunteered for a session, and through the session I did with her, I realized I had commitment issues, right? Because of all the relationships I had in the past that failed. So, and I kept manifesting, people like my mum, I hate to say it, but wasn't good, right?
It's okay, keeping it real. We're keeping it real here. Yeah.
It was a toxic, like every relationship was really toxic.
By the way, I want to say that, Niraj, I mean, Harville Hendrix, one of the ultimate gurus when it comes to healthy relationships, he has this whole, you may be familiar with him, he has this whole methodology, and a handful of the others do, that really have almost proven that what you're bravely talking about is common with just about everybody. That we have our mother wounds, whichever relationship maybe was more challenging or more traumatic, we either have, as a man or a woman, doesn't matter, a mother wound or a father wound. And so that becomes normal. And then that's what we unconsciously seek. And that is, why relationships are they can continue to be toxic and perpetuate the trauma and heartache. Or if we're doing our work like you have, like I have, that the people that we're attracting, it changes, or that we're in relationship in a way that we're able to change those early childhood experiences. So what you're bravely talking about is extremely common. And guys, I would just say, keep it real with yourself, right? If you're experiencing, oh my gosh, this relationship, whether it's with a man or a woman, continues to be like the really painful part of my relationship with my mom or my dad, like that's a good sign that now you are on track to start to change it. And just like Niraj is talking about, by doing that inner work, by being really freaking honest, that's how you heal and achieve escape velocity, right? Not by denying it. And so, I really do, because this, we talked about igniting lasting love, and I want to be true to our promise here in this session, that it is that work that each of us is called to do or not, right? If we do the work, we get the level of vibrational energy that serves our highest good, versus keep us perpetually stuck in a pattern that was like when we were growing up. So I do appreciate your candor there.
Yeah. So just the weird synchronicity was that we both, me and Natasha, were the ones that volunteered out of the 400 or 500 people that are there at the event.
That's amazing. Amazing synchronicity. That's manifestation.
But what that showed to me is the power of the unconscious mind and reprogramming it. So that is what really sparked a lot of my own work on bringing the subconscious reprogramming part, the creative visualization, into the modality that I created with Soma Breath. Because I was like, this is the magic.
So just to make sure I get it, so Mariana she had 2 volunteers. She requested 2 volunteers, and it was you and Natasha, and that's how you guys connected actually among the 500 people that were there.
Yeah,
that's an amazing.
But we didn't. We just met randomly at a party.
Oh, okay.
Like it was a random encounter, but it just happened to be that we, the 2 people that volunteered from.
I see. Okay, but okay,
but the same thing.
Well, but I think you were even saying that some of the work that you did with Mariana was helpful to you too, to heal those parts of you that tended toward.
Well, that's the process.
Yeah.
The commitment issues come from like a lot of things from the past, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the regression therapy that Marissa has is all about dealing with those past imprints, especially the stuff with the mother and father. So, but it was a strange coincidence that both me and Natasha were the only ones who volunteered for the same thing exactly.
That's amazing.
At this event, and then we happened to meet by random chance.
No coincidences, right? Yeah. But your point about that unconscious programming, setting those intentions, having that clarity, and it's like, to me, this idea that our unconscious what I always call like pre-programming is that 95% that's running the show. So the work of reprogramming, I mean, ultimately, when I think about it being a successful manifester, it starts with that reprogramming. And that's, that's through things like you've been describing, the breath work. But and then, go ahead.
This combination where we create intermittent hypoxia and wake up stem cells, the guidance with that, the whole combination makes it so much more powerful. Because it becomes like a psychedelic therapy that changes the brain from a core level. Normal hypnotherapy doesn't go as deep as something like this. Back into it.
Okay, I promised we talk about how sexual energy can be part of this. You talk a lot about sex magic in the best way. So, Niraj, what is sex magic, and why is it such a powerful manifestation tool?
So so when you have an orgasm, you release a lot of different neurotransmitters, and one of the most important ones is oxytocin that gets released. And oxytocin has the power to change the brain. It's a chemical of transformation. So there have been studies that have done that shows that oxytocin has the ability to change the brain, the neurogenesis, more than pretty much anything else. So actually the best time to manifest is at the state of orgasm, right? To be honest. And that's probably why sex magic is such a thing, because that's what helps change the neurology, which is where all the patterns, beliefs, habits, all the programs that I call it the real AI, the automatic intelligence. It's the things we do instinctively. It's what's stored up here.
So how would that work as a practical matter? And by the way, is it equally powerful if you're having solo sex and getting to orgasm, or does it need to be partnered sex? Does it matter?
No. So you got to program. You got to kind of make a program out of it. So there's a protocol of how you do it. So you've got to prolong that state of orgasm first.
Okay.
Otherwise,
good.
if it's over in like 2 minutes, ain't gonna do anything.
Okay.
It's the prolonging state of orgasm, that state of bliss, that takes you into altered states of consciousness. You go into a state called neurosomatic bliss, and this state is very high oxytocin, high dopamine state. Well, it's actually we release a dose of those neurotransmitters, but oxytocin and dopamine are very important when it comes to changing the brain. And so with breathing techniques and breath holding, you can get into these peak states and you can prolong the orgasm.
Even for a guy?
It is for
because
the guy.
I feel like for women, speaking as a woman, I feel like
the guy needs to do this.
Okay.
Because it's the women who can actually have the multiple orgasms, and then eventually the multiple leads to a full body orgasm. But with men, they're usually over in like 2-3 minutes, right? And then the women don't even get into a stable orgasm. So for a woman to really get into stable, the man has to last much longer than they normally do and know what to do. So one way to do that is using pelvic floor locks, energy locks, called Hula Bandha, whilst holding your breath at certain moments during the practice. Now, I'm not going to tell you what they are. You have to come to one of my retreats.
Okay, yeah, you got it.
Actually show you this. But yeah, they are certain moments you have to use, and there's too much for me to explain in a podcast. But there's a process which will allow you to create a full body bliss state of orgasm that leads to like a Kundalini awakening experience, where you both at the same time will, with the right intention, will have a peak orgasmic state at the same time. And that connection, when you're both doing it together, creates magic. And it goes beyond what science can explain. Me and Natasha create like crazy magic all the time.
Good job, guys. That's it's inspiration for the rest of us. But when you talk about there being the opportunity for the greatest manifestation, because you're in this heightened state. I mean, let's say somebody wants to get their dream career, right? Let's say that's the thing that they're really focusing on. They're doing all this work, so they're in a state of orgasm, and they're doing breath work and so forth. So they're holding that orgasm for a substantially long time. So then should they be visualizing their dream job, or how does that work as far as connecting sex magic to manifesting desired outcomes?
You have to create a symbol of your intention. So one way is to create like a movie, and you play out the results of the thing that you want to manifest coming true. So like you have to start with something that's realistic. Well, you can use a SMART goal system. It needs to be specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and time-bound, right? So you need to create something like that as a statement of intent.
Hang on, say it again. Specific?
The SMART system says, it's quite famous, it's specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and time-bound. So you create an intention based on that. Then you have to create a mind movie based on that. So you got to get into your visual mind. You can even just write things down. You don't have to always visualize, because just by writing things down, you get an intention already forming, right? Now, but we both need to do it together. You both have to be aligned on that vision, right? It can't be like one wants one thing and the other one's in a conflict and wants something else that doesn't really work with the two. You have to be in alignment with what you want.
Okay. But hang on, what if so you can only do this if you're in a partnership? What about people that are either not in a partnership and they're having solo sex, or you're just having solo sex because it feels good?
You can do it. Yeah, you can also do it. So yeah. But the thing is, you don't even have to have sex. With Soma Breath, our modality itself mimics what you're doing in a normal lovemaking practice. It's our normal practice of using the breath with the rhythmic breathing, the energy locks, the pelvic floor. It gets you into this blissful, orgasmic-like feeling anyway. And that's enough. You don't have to do the whole full power sex magic ritual.
Well, yeah. And you in the course that I took, you talk a lot about, and maybe elsewhere, I forget, where I've seen it, but you're a passionate advocate for this type of energy. And you just said, even a few minutes ago, just how much opportunity there is to unlock. Yes, it can feel great, but just these states of consciousness that can tap us into our highest potential. Like, I think everybody wants to kind of giggle like, oh, sex magic, and everybody wants to giggle, but like it's actually really serious. Like when we think about healing, when we think about achieving our highest potential, like it's no joke.
Exactly. No, it's no joke. That's why it's better to do it with somebody you're really in love with. You have an aligned vision.
Well, totally. And that, and so I deliberately wanted to structure our conversation, to start with how we tap into these, these cheat codes and these unlocks and how it's available to all of us and not just for manifestation purposes, but health and so forth. And then getting into your story with Natasha and how the stair steps, right? So, okay, you do this foundational work that you described yourself with a lot of effort, a lot of intention, a lot of courage, a lot of clarity. Then you get the benefits of, okay. And I love how you even said, I wasn't looking, I don't think you were looking for somebody. You're like, yeah, I'm just in love with my life right now. And that feels like the key to igniting lasting love and achieving lasting bliss, because you're good. Not only were you good, you were outstanding. Right?
I think that's how you get the best life partners, is when you don't actually need it. Then you just manifest people who are like complementing your life. They're not trying to fill the void of something missing. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, entirely. It's back to this business of whether you're coming from a place of lack, right, versus a place of abundance, right? And that is level of vibrational energy. No matter what, we're all vibrating.
But you see, Western cultures, they're very immature when it comes to all of this stuff, because we think this is an extremely profound thing I'm going to say. So we're obsessed with love. We're always trying to find love, right? This is a problem. So if you try and just manifest things you love without actually thinking about this deeply, right, you may get into problems, because love is something that you can get obsessed with, dependent on. And when it's taken away from you, it can become very destructive. It can make you depressed, extremely anxious. Love is quite a dangerous force as well. So what is best to do now, and this is the biggest lesson I've learned, is it's best to manifest what brings you peace of mind, right? So then you can invite love in, and it doesn't matter if it comes and goes, because love will always come and go. And this is the thing. That's why I've got to a point in my life where I was in a state of peace, right? I was like, I've got my finances sorted. I have a career that's bringing me money. I live where I love to live. I'm pretty sorted. Like, I was in Copenhagen living the dream. So I wasn't in a hate mode, right? So from that place of being in peace, I also knew that what brought me, like, there's a lot of women I could easily have had relationships with. I knew that there would probably be very destructive and roller coaster rides and stormy relationships. So with Natasha, she matched everything that I'd look for in a life partner that would take me towards peace. Right? Because, like, she's not an artist. Well, no, she's an amazing woman to talk about. She's an incredible artist, but she's not like wanting to be like me. And she's not like making a whole career around being some kind of a guru teacher, right? Mm-hmm. She's like more of on the marketing tip. She's more of a business entrepreneur. She actually does stuff much better than me that I don't want to do. So we
complement each other, right? Okay.
Rather than compete with each other. In the past, I've been with people who want to be just like me, and then we end up competing with each other and then get disappointed, and the ego battles come in. So just all these little details people don't think about enough when they get into relationships. They just fall in love with someone within 5 minutes because they're so cool. There's so much connection and similarities, but really deep down, if they thought about it, this is not going to last, right? It's going to become more of a drama than a proper relationship. So, with Natasha, she matched me in all the things that brought me towards peace of mind. And that's why I went fully in. I was like, this is it. I'm done. Because you don't find people like that very easily.
Well, totally. And it just takes one. But I'd love just to pivot to a last section talking about sustainable genuine bliss. And you touched on one of my favorite topics. I often say, peace is so underrated, right? And so I love how you really emphasized that you got to a place in your life where you overcame a lot of that anger and resentment and all that negativity to a place of peace. I mean, peace is magnetic. Peace is so much more powerful than I think a lot of people give it credit for. At the same time, bliss really feels good. So what does it mean to awaken lasting bliss instead of like chasing the fleeting highs? Because I feel like you have mastered being in a much more lasting state of bliss yourself, and that's what you teach others to be in.
Yeah. I mean, I'll give you an example from the retreat. So there was a guy on the retreat who is a very rich. He owns half of like, a city in America, right? And he basically went through so much hell in the process of becoming very rich. He found his wife committing suicide, right? His own son died on an overdose in his arms, right? And what his big realization was that, he was so in love with money that all this was neglected, all the family side was neglected. And so a lot of people are like this in America and the West and the UK, even now Asia, everywhere actually. Let's say the whole world is like this, where there's such a drive for ambition to be the most successful, be like Elon Musk, be like Trump or whatever. And there's this huge drive to make as much money as possible and do as much as they can and be the best as they can and have super high ambitions. There's such a almost like hypnosis going on that this is what we should do. But if you look at a lot of these people, like what have they really manifested is a lot of misery. I have quite a few billionaire clients and CEOs companies, and a lot of them are miserable even though they have so much money. Mm-hmm. So this is what I'm talking about.
Money, a lot of them have fame, power. Yeah. I mean, all these, if you will, external trappings of success that look great on paper, and I have some other friends that are close to a number of billionaires and they say the same thing. Not all billionaires or, many millionaires multi times over, but it is it's something that it's arresting when you think about it, how many people who have had that vast success based on those sort of societal norms, their success is from the outside in, the yachts, the houses, the prestige, the power, blah, 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 versus from the inside out. So keep going.
Yes. Yeah. So, there was many times where I could have gone down a different path, right? On the way up to Soma Breath, there was a lot of other opportunities. And what I realized was, these were shiny objects, which would have got me distracted from what gives me peace of mind, which is this practice that I love. And this practice I love was something that I would do whether I got paid or not, right? It's just something I fell in love with. And I didn't even have any ambitions like this left. I was quite happy living the 4-minute work week and going around in a tantra community. Only when I started to see the results in other people, I was like, wow, I've got something that I can really scale here. It can help so many people. And then people started coming to me. So what people need to, if you really want to manifest something great, you need to work on creating something great first, where people get drawn to you magnetically. Rather than you being really pushy and trying to push your not great stuff on people.
Yeah. Right?
That's the mistake people make when trying to be successful. And to create, so when you do that, then you have more peace of mind as a result, because it doesn't matter if you get paid. If you can find something that it doesn't matter if you get paid or not, you just still do it, right? That is going to bring you closer to peace of mind, whether if you just do something for money, for fame, significance, and all these things. So you just really got to ask yourself a lot of questions. Why am I doing something? Am I doing this job to pay the bills? Or am I doing this job because I absolutely love what I'm doing? It doesn't matter if I got paid or not. If you can get into that space, that happy place of where you find the work, because you become what you eat, consume, right? I think you become what you do, your dharma, your life path, everything what you do every day, right? So if you're spending 8-9 hours a day doing something you hate, it's very hard to stay in and keep lasting bliss.
Well, and that, I mean, there are going to be some parents here that are full-time parents, right? So it's not even just professionally, right? And I feel like that, you know, guys, I mean, no matter where you are on your journey, I think, Niraj, your point's the right one, which is whether you're in a career, a more traditional career, or an artist, a mom, a dad, wherever, a student, whatever it is, it's like it better bring you a lot. You got to create that sense of peace and love and joy of it, or you got to shift gears.
Yeah. So like, yeah, this applies to everybody. Like, what you got to really just think about it deep down. What brings you peace of mind? Like, do you really need to have all the money in the world? Do you need to have another 5 kids? Do you need to have 1 kid? Or, you know, or are you really in the right situation right now to be a parent, right? Do you need some inner work? Because being a parent's really hard. Like, if I was a dad, like in my 20s, oh my God, it would have been so hard. So what I was talking about was, you know, the older cultures, I think, got it right a bit more, because there's some of the things we can learn from tradition is, like, I know like people mock arranged marriages and things like that, but maybe there's some benefits to like early on, like being introduced to the right person who's matches you, who can create a supportive relationship, rather than you trying to have to seek it everywhere. I feel
like that gets to your point about sort of, especially in the West, there's a, you know, love has been romanticized. And if anything, I blame Hollywood and Bollywood for that matter. Right. I mean, this idea that you achieve, you know, it's like that pattern of boy meets girl, boy and girl, fall away from each other. There's some heartache, and then they come back together and live happily ever after. I mean, if anything, love has been negatively impacted, let's just say, by the forces of Hollywood and Bollywood, leading to a more, I think this is what you were saying before, kind of a more immature expectation of what it's going to look like and feel like, versus something that is, you know, it's like they're finding each other, the hero and the heroine, or heroine and heroine, you know, don't need to be sort of specific here about sexual orientation. But it does lead to, I think, more of that sort of romantic fairy tale expectation, which is detrimental, right? Versus what you're talking about, like even sex magic, we were talking about the seriousness of that. We're talking about like, and you said love can be dangerous. I mean, damn right it can be, right? So this idea of like how we learn about these things and do that inner work so we can take it seriously. So, okay. So, back to just, wrapping up here about Bliss, and I want to bring it back to the importance of movement and music in what you teach and advocate for. Why are music and movement so important to what you do? I mean, breath is a big part of it, but you supercharge it by, what's coming in through your ears, if you will, and then what you're creating through moving your bodies. Why are those two? Why is this the holy trifecta?
Yeah, but I mean, exercise is key, right? It's important. If you don't move, if you what was it? The question? If you don't move it, you lose it.
Yeah, use it or lose it. Yeah,
something like that. Yeah. So yeah, move it or lose it, right? So if you don't move, if you don't physically exercise, you're screwed. But a lot of people don't find the joy in going to a gym. They don't find joy in doing yoga class even, right? Or anything. But a lot of people on their own, if they like a piece of music, even if they're just on their own, will dance like crazy, right? I think dance is something that we will all love to do if we're not feeling like we're being judged, I think. And it's one of the best forms of exercise that actually really makes us feel high, naturally. And when you combine that with breathing techniques, you can create a very, very powerful exercise. So that's why dance is a big part of it. It changes your state. It gets you in a really high vibe state. It's also a brilliant form of exercise. And remember, we're all about mitochondrial health. So we want to look after them. And anaerobic exercise, like dancing with breathing through your nose intensely or holding your breath even, is an anaerobic exercise that can be very beneficial.
Hang on, anaerobic or aerobic? I think of dance as aerobic.
So aerobic is when you're breathing all the time through it.
Oh, okay.
And so we do it with breath holds.
I see. Okay, got it.
With breathing with the dance.
Okay, got it.
And this is more of an anaerobic exercise. And that makes dance the most powerful exercise ever. The way we do it in Soma Breath.
Well, and just to pause there and really underscore this point, because I literally dance every day. I mean, I'm listening to music all the time. I wake up. If I'm in between meetings and I feel a little stressed, I mean, literally, this has been one of my therapies, and it's easy and it's free. I mean, and to your point, that is joyful. And yeah, I swim and I yoga and I hike and all that other stuff. But just for me personally, throughout the day, listening to high vibe music, it is like an instant boost. It's like an instant bliss boost, instant energy boost.
It's a great way to change your state. So music is a big part of what we do because of the dance, but also the rhythm of music allows you to time breathing patterns to music, and that turns the music into, I mean, the breath work techniques from kind of a boring thing that you just do in your mind to something that's actually fun and exciting, because you can make a whole journey with transformational music, which is what I produce, which also lifts you up because music lights up both areas of the brain. And a certain tempo, 120 BPM, is like the rhythm of life. Like the music producing software, for some reasons, default always sets 120. And this university in Brazil found that over a period of 30 years, then all the top 10 songs, the most popular songs, were in the range of around 117 to 122 BPM. And African drummers, they tend to do rhythms around 120 BPM as well. And then the harmonic frequency tempo of that is 60 BPM, half of that. And 60 BPM is your natural kind of resting heart rate. And when you do breath patterns to 60 BPM, right, which you can also do to 120 by just halving it, you can actually create these pranayama-based breath patterns, just like how they teach in the Yoga Sutras, but to music. That's really cool. And you, instead of having to count in your head like the rhythm, do it through music. And
right.
It's so much more.
It's so easy to follow. Yeah, and that's what I've experienced.
Everything we do is around 120 BPM.
Okay. Yeah, and that sort of a, if you will, a natural frequency that's been documented to be the one that people inherently respond to. Makes sense. And I wanted to add one last thing. I forget the name of the scientist, but there was a scientist actually some time ago that was really curious about, the fact that we are 70% water, the earth is 70% water. What would happen by exposing water to really violent, angry music versus like Mozart and Beethoven? You may be familiar with this one, as well as angry words versus loving words. So he did this great experiment, and we can maybe even show this. The highlights of this, what he found is he ended up freezing this water, in doing these experiments. Some of the water was exposed to angry heavy metal or whatever, angry music, right? Versus more, more joyful or blissful. And what he could see looking under an electron microscope were the patterns of the crystals in the angry one, completely chaotic, broken and jagged, if you will. And then the ice, if that was exposed to the loving music and the loving words, it was like stained glass windows. Beautiful crystals, right? And I emphasize this just when we're talking about music. Guys, pick your music carefully, right? I used to listen to even so much more, if you will, kind of, my brother will call like sad bastard music. And it's like I very rarely, and it's, obviously it's a personal choice, but when I think about what we are feeding our minds, what we're feeding our bodies, what we're feeding ourselves, music wise, our nervous systems are responding. And in the case of this experiment that I described,
music creates is magic, and it creates cultures. It's programmed. It's there to create the culture.
100%. So I emphasize this as, you're a BJ, breathwork DJ that does these amazing raves and has used music for helping people heal and achieve these blissful states. And so I did want to close with talking about the importance of music and movement in terms of healing more generally, but also, like I said, a little specifically, choose your music wisely, because it is programming. I mean, it really, really is programming. Okay, Niraj, last word for you. We've covered a lot. You are the best. I always learn so much from you. I always am excited to talk to you. One day I'm going to meet you in person. I can't wait. I'm going to come to one of your raves. I keep saying that. Last word, any last thing that we haven't covered or that you want to underscore before we wrap up the session?
No, what I'll leave it with is that we're entering into a world right now which is a lot of uncertainty, right? So, we don't know who to trust anymore. We don't know which leaders are the good guys. It's like almost they're all baddies now.
Mm-hmm. Baddies in a bad way, not baddies in a good way.
Yeah, exactly. We don't have much idea of what's going to happen with AI technology. We're going into uncharted territory, basically. So there's a lot of uncertainty in the future. And there's a lot of fear because of that. But also, at the same time, it's one of the most exciting times to be alive right now. We have so much abundance. We actually are the most peaceful time in humanity. If you look historically, it's been way worse. And there's so much love in the world, right? There's so much beauty. There's so much amazing magic. And it's so much easier now to start a business around your passion compared to when I was a pharmacist. So everyone has the ability to find love, right, that can last by really just making some time to really think about what they want. Because a lot of people, what they're doing is living in fear mode, right? And because of that, they become stuck and they stop looking elsewhere outside of their own little tiny little tunnel vision. They may keep them in this loop of coming home, watching TV, talking small talk, and then go to bed, and then just staying in the stream, and then wondering, why is my life not changing?
Well, and if those are the people, if that's the kind of people that you're hanging around with and so forth, that becomes a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? So back to this idea of the cheat codes are inside each of us, and choosing, hey, I want more peace, I want more love, I want more bliss. What am I going to do about it, right? I mean, to me, that is the ultimate agency. That is the ultimate empowerment. And that, I think is the beauty of your, what you've created with Soma, as well as you as a teacher who's on Instagram, on TikTok. I mean, guys, if you're not following Niraj, please do. Tell us the 2 or 3 places that people can find you, and how, if people wanted to sign up for Soma, how do they do that?
So what I was saying is, if you're stuck in this loop, you can just start your journey of actually breaking out of that with just one breathing technique. Okay, one of our daily dose sessions. If you get the Soma Breath app, on there are a bunch of sessions for free. Just try one of them, and it could actually be the thing that switches your perception and breaks you out of the loop and starts making you see all the opportunity that exists out there.
Thank you. Yes. Amen. It's there for you for free. And if people want, go ahead.
So just go /somabreath.com/go.
And Niraj, how do people find you on social media?
So it's Niraj Naik official, my name, Niraj Naik, and official at the end as well. That's on Instagram. And we have a YouTube channel, Soma Breath. But the app's where you're going to get a lot of great stuff.
Yeah, honestly, and folks, what I have found, as I've intimated, or maybe even stated a few times, between my previous interview with Niraj and research, he is such a passionate wealth of knowledge. And again, I realize not everybody wants to nerd out about mitochondria and so forth, but I personally am passionate about learning about it. And like I said, I'm planning to do the instructor training because to me, when I think about empowering myself, my own health, and being able to share what I learn and tapping into more lasting bliss in even sex magic, I am doing it because it is such a huge unlock. And so, Niraj, thank you for creating this amazing work and for being part of the Power of Manifestation. As always, I've loved our discussion, and I look forward to our next interview. All right, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for tuning into this session. I hope you got a ton out of it, and we'll see you in the next Power of Manifestation session. And till then, get your breathing work going. Got to do it. Don't skip it. Okay, guys, I hope you got as much out of that as I did. Igniting true love, awakening lasting bliss. The cheat codes are inside of you. It's real. It is real. And I know we nerded out a little bit and we kind of went deep at times. But to me, I know I've said it a few times, it's not theory. It really is that choice to do this work, to tap into peace, to tap into bliss, to tap into better health, all in service of having the most beautiful, gratitudeful and love-filled lives. And I hope you really took to heart what Niraj has gone through. I mean, we all face heartaches and setbacks and disappointments and so forth. But to me, the ultimate choice, the ultimate empowerment is choosing to say, okay, I want to break free of that. I want more peace. I want more love. I want more joy. I want more bliss. It is there for you. It is inside of you. And I hope you say yes. And I know I've said it a few times. I have said yes in my own life, which is why I'm so passionate about bringing this to you. Whew. Okay. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Power of Manifestation. I look forward to seeing you at the next session. Thank you and take care.